Millionaire's shocking rescue of a homeless girl left on the street by her stepmom. Nathan Cole's life was all about glittering penthouses, gleaming sports cars, and endless parties. Yet nothing in his opulent, perfectly controlled world prepared him for the night he found Maya. A ragged, trembling girl huddled on a desolate roadside under a pale, flickering street lamp in the heart of the Midwest. She looked no older than 12, her eyes wild with fear, skin smudged with dirt and tears. Nathan had been driving home from a board meeting when he spotted her, a thin figure barely visible against the cold night. The scene was straight out of a nightmare. An empty, cracked road stretched into the pitch dark, silence shattered only by the occasional roar of distant trucks. The air smelled bitter, sharp with the chill of fall. Maya sat on the cracked curb, clutching a filthy blanket around her thin frame, shivering violently. Nathan's heart slammed in his chest. Something about her desperate vulnerability clawed at the edges of memories he had long buried. As he rolled down his window, Maya flinched, shrinking further into herself as if expecting the worst. "Hey, it's okay," Nathan said softly, voice steady but urgent with concern. "Do you need help?" Her eyes darted away, haunted and uncertain. But before she could answer, headlights blazed down the road, the unmistakable sleek black SUV skidding to a stop, harsh voices cutting through the silence like knives. Out stepped a woman, sharp-faced and cold-eyed, her voice dripping with cruelty. "Maya, get in the car now, you're a disgrace, left me no choice." The girl trembled, backing away, but the stepmother's fury was raw and brutal. Nathan could feel his blood boil. This woman, this monster, was about to drag Maya back into who knows what nightmare. Without hesitation, Nathan swung open his door. "Hey, back off," he shouted, stepping between Maya and the woman. The stepmom's sneer deepened. "Oh, what? You want to play savior now, Mr. Moneybags?" She spat, eyes flicking disdainfully to his expensive watch and tailored suit. The tension exploded. Nathan's hands clenched. Something inside him snapped. A furious protectiveness, and maybe a flicker of his own childhood wounds, when he too was an outcast, left cold and alone with no one to defend him. The stepmother growled but finally backed down, snarling threats as she retreated. Nathan knelt beside Maya, voice trembling. "You're safe now. What's your name?" She whispered with cracked lips, "Maya." That name echoed in his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that this girl, abandoned and broken, was linked to his past in ways he couldn't yet see. Back inside his mansion, the clash was only beginning. Elizabeth, his fiancée, appeared like a shadow with icy eyes. "You can't bring some homeless street kid into our life, Nathan. It's dangerous. It's messy." Her warning sent a knot tightening in his chest, not just fear for Maya, but the sudden, sharp sting of betrayal. As Nathan spent days unraveling Maya's story, a dark thread emerged, her stepmother tied to events that haunted Nathan's own family history. Secrets began to surface, betrayal ran deep, and trauma tangled their fates. Each revelation stirred a storm inside him, a battle between comfort and courage, control and compassion. Then, in the quiet of his study, Nathan found it, a dusty old photograph tucked inside a box. The faces in it blurred but familiar. One shadowy figure was unmistakable, Maya's stepmother, standing beside someone Nathan never expected. His hands trembled. Was this the key to their past, or a trap that would shatter everything? Nathan stared at the photo in silence. Outside, the wind howled like a warning. The race was on. Could he save Maya before the shadows consumed them both, or were they already lost to a darkness deeper than he dared imagine? Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Nathan stared at the photo, the mystery of its contents clouding his thoughts. Outside, the wind clawed at the windows, as if urging him to act. He flipped the photograph over, heart racing. A date, a name written there sent chills down his spine. The name was his mother's. He stumbled back, almost losing his balance. This couldn't be real. Maya's soft voice broke the oppressive silence. "What's wrong?" she asked, glancing up at him with those big, trembling eyes. Her innocence pierced him. In an instant, the weight of his discovery felt unbearable. "Maya, this woman, your stepmother, she knew my family," he forced out. I think she might be involved in something dark." Maya swallowed hard, a flicker of recognition flashing in her gaze. "You're not supposed to be with me," she whispered. She said. Her voice trailed off, and fear seeped into the corners of the room. She said, "If anyone tries to help me, she will hurt you." A cold dread burrowed into Nathan's stomach. He didn't just want to help her, he needed to protect her. A sudden resolve surged within him. "Maya, listen to me, we have to get you away from her," he said, steeling himself. Just then, a crash sounded from outside, drawing their attention. Nathan rushed to the window. His heart sank. The black SUV was back, its headlights a harsh yellow glare cutting through the darkness. The stepmother stepped out, now with a man in a dark jacket, a heavy-set figure whose presence oozed menace. They were both scanning the area, hunting for something, or someone. "Run!" Nathan shouted, fear wrapping around every word. He grabbed Maya's hand, pulling her toward the back of the house. They dashed down the hallway. The silence was punctuated only by the rush of their footsteps, echoing like thunder in his ears. When they reached the back door, a sudden thought hit him. The basement. He swung it open, leading Maya down the creaky stairs, the air thick with the smell of damp earth. They crouched in the dark, heartbeats racing, straining to listen. Outside, voices grew closer. "She can't be far, check everywhere." A chill ran through Nathan as the stepmother's voice cracked with anger. He glanced at Maya, whose eyes were wide with terror. Just then, Nathan's phone buzzed violently in his pocket. It was Elizabeth. He hesitated, but instinct took over. He answered it, his breath hitching. "Where are you?" Elizabeth demanded, anxiety lacing her voice. "Not now, Liz," he whispered urgently. "I'm in a bad situation. I need to. Is she there?" "Is it the girl?" Her voice changed, sharp and steely. "You're putting everything at risk. You need to come home, right now." Nathan felt something snap inside him. This wasn't the time for her control. "No, I won't leave her," he shouted, but the anger in Elizabeth's voice rippled through the line. Suddenly, blood-curdling screams erupted from outside, piercing through the wet air. His stomach dropped. They weren't just hunting for Maya, they were hunting for him. "Get out! They're coming!" Elizabeth screamed. The call dropped into silence as footsteps pounded closer, the sound of boots drumming against the earth, and then, bursting through the door, the man stepped into the basement's dim light. "Hello, Nathan," he said, voice dripping with malice. "Did you really think you could hide from your past?" Nathan's heart pounded in his throat, panic locking his muscles. He backed up, pulling Maya close as the shadows swallowed their escape. The man smirked, and Nathan's mind raced with fear. What did he mean? What had he done? "Time's up," the man grinned, and Nathan knew the truth was unraveling and nothing would ever be the same again. In that moment, everything he believed shifted, and he felt the cold grip of fate tighten around them. Could this really be the end? Or just the beginning of a nightmare they couldn't escape? Nathan felt his pulse quicken as the man approached, a dark cloud of fear spreading through the basement. The weight of the moment bore down on him. What did this figure know? What did he want? "Who are you?" Nathan managed to spit out, trying to keep his voice steady, but it trembled. Maya pressed against him, her small body shaking. "Just a friend of the family," the man replied, a sick grin stretching across his face. "You're in over your head, boy." Suddenly, there was a loud crash from the front of the house. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the air, and the man's smile faltered, just for a second. Nathan seized the chance and looked at Maya, her eyes wide, filled with terror. He knew they had to act fast. "Follow me," Nathan hissed, pulling her towards a narrow window at the back of the basement. They climbed onto a rickety old chair. Nathan wedged his shoulder against the frame, forcing the window open. Cold air rushed in, bringing a strange breeze of freedom. The outside world shimmered in the moonlight, promising escape. Just as he shoved the window wide, the man lunged, grabbing Nathan's arm. "You think you can just run away?" His grip was like iron, squeezing tighter with each desperate pull. Nathan gritted his teeth, adrenaline surging through him. He twisted away, just enough to break free, but then Maya screamed. Nathan whipped around, heart crashing in his chest. The man had snatched Maya's other arm, yanking her back. Her eyes were wide, helpless, and filled with fear. "No," Nathan shouted, reaching for her. "Let her go." The man's grin was sinister as he drew Maya closer. "Look who's going to save you now," he taunted, and in that moment, Nathan realized the horror wasn't just in the man's threat, it was in the triumphant glint in his eyes. "Let her go!" Nathan screamed again, desperation clawing at him. And just as the man was about to respond, something unexpected happened. The basement doors swung open with a violent creak, letting in a shaft of blinding light. Elizabeth stood there, her expression hard, eyes cold as ice, a gun in her hands. "Get away from her now," she commanded, her voice laced with authority. The man froze, surprise flickering across his features before he burst into laughter. You're going to shoot me?" His tone was mocking. "You think you're in charge here." "Try me," she replied, and for a second, time stopped. Nathan's heart bounced wildly between disbelief and confusion. What was happening? The woman he thought he knew felt foreign, her fierce demeanor unfamiliar. But then it clicked. "You knew," Nathan said, voice cracking as realization swept over him. "You knew about Maya, you knew everything." "Enough!" Elizabeth shot back, her eyes hardening. "This isn't what you think." Her gaze flicked to Maya. It never was. Maya's trembling figure shifted between them, confusion and fear shadowing her face. "What do you mean?" Her voice was so small, so fragile. Before Elizabeth could respond, the man broke in, a chilling chuckle escaping his lips. "Oh, this is rich. Did you really think she was trying to protect you? You're just another part of the game, kid." And with that, he lunged at Elizabeth, the tension snapping like a dry twig. Nathan's mind raced. The chaos swirled around him, everything spiraling into an abyss where trust had shattered. A single thought clawed at his insides. Who was he really protecting? But just as the ground slipped beneath his feet, Maya cried out, "No." Before Nathan could process what was happening, Elizabeth fired. There was a deafening bang that cracked the air, and a bullet flew, a rogue star in the dark. The man crumpled. Nathan's breath caught as time seemed to stretch. Everything felt unreal, like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. And in that tense silence, it hit him. This wasn't just about him saving Maya or unearthing family secrets. This tangled mess was deeper than wounds. It was betrayal, truth hidden in shadows, and the terrible weight of choices leading them all down a path of darkness. As the echoes of the gunshot faded, a raw question loomed over them all. What had Elizabeth truly done? And would they ever emerge from the chaos that had consumed their lives? Nathan stood frozen, the sound of the gunshot still ringing in his ears. Maya's wide eyes darted between him and Elizabeth, confusion etched on her face. The man who had threatened them lay crumpled on the floor, the darkness of the basement swallowing his form. But something in Elizabeth's gaze shifted. It was as if she were suddenly not just the woman he thought he knew, but someone at war. Her eyes, once cold, now burned with an intensity that shattered his world. "We need to go," she said urgently, her voice stripped of any softness. "Go, you just shot someone." Nathan protested, disbelief clawing at him. "What did you do? Who are you?" "Maya, stay close," she snapped before turning back to him. "There's no time to explain. I'll tell you everything, but we need to move now." Suddenly, the basement lights flickered, and the old wooden beams creaked ominously. Nathan could feel the urge to run, but his feet felt stuck in the chaos, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. He couldn't take his eyes off the body. The finality of the moment shattering his understanding of everything. "We can't leave him here, he might still be alive." Elizabeth shot him an icy glare. "Trust me, Nathan, he's not coming back, we have bigger problems, you don't know what he was involved in." Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from above, sending dust tumbling down from the ceiling. Nathan's heart raced. "What now?" he gasped. At that moment, the back door burst open, and more figures flooded into the basement. They were dressed in dark clothing, faces hidden behind masks, weapons glinting ominously. "There you are." One of them yelled, eyes locked on Maya. "We're here for her." "Get back!" Elizabeth shouted, raising her gun again. The newcomers roared with laughter, an unsettling sound that shattered Nathan's nerves. "Do you really think you can protect her?" A different voice taunted. "You're nothing to us." Maya shrank against Nathan, fear radiating off her as he instinctively moved to shield her. "Get away from her," he yelled, ready to fight if he had to. But Elizabeth turned, suddenly calm among the chaos. "Everyone stop." She commanded, her voice steady and fierce. "You want Maya? You'll have to go through me." The leader of the group smirked, his eyes lively with malice. "Oh, we're not after just her. We have our orders. And if you're in the way," his voice trailed off, but the threat hung heavily in the air. Then it happened. Elizabeth lowered her weapon, the calm facade breaking. "You don't understand. It's bigger than you think," she said, her voice barely a whisper but laced with an urgency that hung on every word. "What do you mean?" Nathan asked, fear creeping up his spine. Suddenly, before they could grasp the moment, a loud rumble filled the basement, the ground shaking beneath them. A flash of light blinded Nathan, and before he could react, the walls around them started to collapse. Dust and debris clouded the air, panic surged as they stumbled. "Maya, hold on to me," Nathan cried, his voice lost in the roar. But as he reached for her, Elizabeth stepped back, her eyes wide and horrified. And then it hit him like a freight train. "No, you knew," he gasped, the pieces suddenly falling into place. Elizabeth made a desperate move, lunging toward the hidden door at the far side of the basement, a door Nathan had never even noticed before. "You need to choose, Nathan. You want truth, or do you want to protect her?" Maya's hand slipped from his grasp as chaos consumed them. The ground shook, and Nathan felt his heart drop, his world spiraling into darkness. As the ceiling crumbled and the light dimmed, one haunting thought clawed at him. In that moment of desperation, who was really the enemy? The echoes of their struggle faded into the distance, and silence fell heavy like a blanket. Would they emerge from this disaster alive? And who could he trust in a world shrouded in lies? The basement erupted around them, dust and debris swirling like angry spirits. Nathan's heart pounded against his chest, a wild animal desperate to escape its cage. Just moments ago, he thought he had a clear path ahead: protect Maya, confront Elizabeth, escape the nightmare. Now, everything was crumbling faster than he could grasp. But as the light flickered and the room shifted, Nathan felt a sudden stillness in the chaos. Elizabeth's eyes locked onto his, desperation and urgency merging into something else, something darker. Then it happened, a loud crash from behind them, the wall bursting open like a dam. A figure stepped through the gaping hole. A woman clad in dark clothing, her face hidden by a mask. As she emerged from the shadows, Nathan's breath caught in his throat. It was unmistakable. The eyes, those cold, piercing eyes, were the same as Maya's. "Mom!" Maya screamed, the word tearing from her lips like a wounded animal. The cry sliced through the confusion, rooted deep in Nathan's chest. He looked at Maya, then back at the woman. It didn't make sense. How could this be possible? The woman laughed, a sound as cold as ice. "You've done well to keep her safe, Nathan, but you can't protect her anymore." Every instinct in him screamed to grab Maya and run. Fear knotted his stomach as the reality crashed over him. This was no ordinary enemy, this was family tangled in betrayal. What do you mean?" Nathan gasped, pulling Maya close, his heart racing. The room felt like it was closing in, shadows creeping around him as the truth loomed larger. Maya's wide eyes flicked between him and her mother, searching for answers. "No, you left me." She fell back a step, fear mingling with disbelief. "Left you?" The woman chuckled, a hollow sound echoing through the basement. "Maya, I did what I had to do to keep you safe. You don't know the dangers lurking for you." "None of you do," Elizabeth interjected, her voice sharp. "You think this is a joke? This isn't about the past anymore. We're talking about survival." The tension escalated, raw and electric. Nathan felt the walls starting to close in. "What danger?" he demanded, his voice barely above a whisper as he struggled to comprehend. "What are you talking about? You left her to protect her." But before she could respond, another figure materialized from the debris, a man, rugged with anger, his face taut like stretched leather. "Enough with the reunion," he growled. "You both need to come with us right now." "Who the hell are you?" Nathan spat, stepping in front of Maya, his body instinctively shielding her from the unfolding chaos. "Maya's father," the man declared, each word dripping with menace. "And you've all been playing a very dangerous game. You think you're her savior? You're just dragging her deeper into darkness." A cold reality washed over the room, and Nathan staggered back, confusion morphing into shock. "No, it can't be. How could this happen?" As the man took a step forward, a searing pain rushed through Nathan's chest, an invisible dagger slicing through his resolve. It was clear now, Maya hadn't just been a victim. She had been at the center of a greater scheme, one that tied them all together in a web of lies. Everything collided in a chaotic rush. Familial bonds, betrayal, the hunt, and a darkness that felt almost tangible in the air. Maya is the key, the man continued, eyes burning a hole through Nathan. The key to everything, and that's why they want her. Maya's face turned ashen, her breath hitching in a panic. What do you mean they want me? Nathan felt the ground beneath his feet shift. No. He shouted, but the words barely escaped his lips as the walls cracked and creaked even louder, shaking their reality. As chaos threatened to consume them, Nathan's mind raced. He had to protect Maya, but from whom? His heart twisted with what he thought he knew about Elizabeth and this family. What had he gotten into? Just as the room fell into darkness, a loud rumble echoed above, and the ceiling started to buckle. Nathan's heart dropped. Would he ever find a way to save Maya from this nightmare? And more importantly, could he trust anyone anymore? The line between hero and villain had blurred, leaving him standing at a precipice he never expected. The basement rumbled like a storm about to break. Nathan's heart raced, panic clawing at his insides. Maya's terrified face stared up at him, echoing the confusion ricocheting through his mind. The woman claiming to be her mother had burst into their lives, and the walls felt like they were closing in with every passing second. Stay close, Nathan shouted, pulling Maya tighter against him. Every instinct screamed for him to protect her, but uncertainty twisted his gut. Elizabeth's gun still pointed at the newcomers, but Nathan's gaze stayed glued to the shadowy figure, the woman who could unravel everything he thought he knew. Maya, listen to me, the woman called out, her voice almost soothing amidst the chaos. You have to trust me. Trust you. Maya cried, her voice quaking. You left me, you've been gone my whole life. Just then, the ceiling creaked ominously, and Nathan felt time slow. When the woman, Maya's mother, opened her mouth, a flash of recognition sparked in Nathan. Those eyes, they echoed something deep within him. Had he seen them before? The thought spun in his head like a whirlwind, but he couldn't grasp it, couldn't hold on as the weight of impending collapse loomed. Then, in an instant, the ground shook violently, splintering walls and sending debris crashing down. Nathan and Maya stumbled back as dust enveloped them, air thick with chaos. We have to go, he yelled, looking back at Elizabeth, her expression one of unyielding focus, but the fear swirling in her eyes told another story. Outside, sirens wailed, growing louder. It felt like the world would swallow them whole any second. But then, something shifted. A loud crack split the air, and Nathan's gut dropped. The wall behind the woman exploded outward, revealing a dark figure shrouded in smoke and grit. No, Nathan screamed, instincts kicking in as he shielded Maya. The figure stepped forward, powerful and relentless. And then, the last thing Nathan expected, a booming laughter filled the room, rough and mocking. Surprise! The figure bellowed, pulling off a mask to reveal a familiar face. Nathan gasped, his thoughts spiraling into disbelief. James, he whispered, shock splintering through him. James, the childhood friend he had lost touch with, the brother he had always considered family. But this wasn't the joyful reunion he dreamed of. Fear dripped from James' every word. You've been digging into things you don't understand, Nathan, and now you've brought her into this mess. What are you talking about? Nathan shot back, confusion and anger igniting in his chest. But James just smirked, the darkness swirling around him like a cloak. Maya is a pawn, he said, his voice laced with malevolence. A means to an end. Maya's face paled, eyes darting between Nathan and James, trembling as her reality shifted. What does that mean? Just then, Elizabeth stepped forward, her demeanor changing, a steel resolve in her gaze. You stay away from her, she shouted, and for the first time, doubt flickered in James' eyes. Do you think standing between us will protect your precious secrets? He sneered. In one swift motion, he pulled out a small device, pressing a button that lit up the basement in an eerie glow. The ground shuddered once more, but it wasn't just the building collapsing, it was something else entirely. Above, the sounds of sirens suddenly fell silent. No, Nathan yelled, but his protest faded into a hush. The air around them thickened, a tangible tension filling the space, pulling them together and apart all at once. In that moment, everything changed. Beneath the chaos and betrayal, the last piece clicked into place. The pieces of Nathan's past crashed into the present, exposing a tangled web of lies that broke apart like glass. He turned to Maya, desperation clawing at his throat. We can still get out of this. But as James smirked, standing at the threshold of despair, relationships twisted into knots, truths hung like shadows, and Nathan knew. Trust was a fragile illusion that could shatter at any moment. And just as the basement began to cave in, he heard the unthinkable, a whisper echoing from within. "Help me!" Maya's voice mingled with a familiar tone, sinking into his bones, one he had longed to hear, but never expected. "Mom!" Nathan's heart dropped as the world around them spun, pulling him deeper into an abyss where nothing was as it seemed. Could they escape the storm of secrets before it consumed them all? Would he ever truly understand the reality of who Maya was? Maya's voice echoed in his mind, raw and haunting. "Mom!" It was a word that shattered the tension, piercing right through the chaos. Nathan's chest tightened as he positioned himself protectively in front of her, instinctively pushing back against the tide of confusion crashing over them. "Back off!" He yelled, his protective instincts raging. But the moment hung heavy, teetering on the edge of truth and deception. Maya's mother stepped forward, eyes blazing with a wild mix of desperation and urgency. "You don't understand." She shouted over the din, her voice cracking. "This isn't just about you or me, this is about a power far darker than you can imagine." Nathan's heart hammered in his chest. Behind him, the walls trembled, fragments of dust cascading down like falling stars, marking their descent into the unknown. His mind raced. "What do you mean?" He needed answers, clarity in this storm of uncertainty. He felt Maya's fingers clutching his arm, trembling. But before she could respond, another loud crash erupted from what seemed like nowhere. The ground shook violently as the foundation trembled beneath their feet. Suddenly, a bright light blinded them, pouring in like a river of raw energy. The basement walls shimmered, and with a booming roar, they gave way to the unknown. As the dust began to settle, Nathan squinted against the light, and what crawled out of the wreckage sent chills down his spine. The figure, tall, imposing, and cloaked in the remnants of rubble, stepped forth with a casual grace that belied the chaos around him. "I'm back," he announced, his voice smooth but powerfully threatening. "Who are you?" Nathan shouted, his mind racing to process the sudden shift in reality. But the newcomer just chuckled, an empty sound reverberating against the walls. The man pulled off his hood, revealing a familiar face that set Nathan's blood running cold. "You didn't think I was really gone, did you? I've been watching all of you." "Brian." Maya gasped, her hand tightening around Nathan's, shock radiating off her in waves. Brian, the brother Nathan had lost in an accident years ago, the one who had been the linchpin of their existence, snatched away too soon. Surprise. He grinned, but the glint in his eyes was anything but welcoming. "You've done well, little sis, but it's time to come home." Chaos erupted. Nathan's world flipped upside down once more as the weight of Brian's presence settled around them. You're supposed to be dead." He stammered, disbelief clawing at him. Brian shrugged an almost casual dismissal. "I was dead. Until I wasn't." Maya stepped back, her voice trembling. "What do you want from me?" "Everything," Brian replied, tone slicing through the air like a knife. "I need you, Maya. You've always been the key." In that terrible moment, everything Nathan thought he knew shattered. The woman before him, Maya's mother, was not just fighting for survival, but against a darker force that was somehow now entwined with Nathan's own past. "Brian." Maya whispered, horror swapping her fear with something deeper, something sinister. "What do you mean?" As if the air thickened with their confusion, he wasn't ready for what would unravel next. "They're coming for you, Maya. They want what you hold, and we don't have much time." Nathan's pulse quickened. What is it that she holds?" From the shadows, Elizabeth spoke, her voice steady but strained. "The truth is deeper than this family knows. You all need to see it." Suddenly, Nathan felt a heaviness in the air, a shifting, a whisper of secrets clawing to break free. The echo of Brian's return seemed to shake the foundation of everything he believed. What did they actually want from Maya? And could he trust anyone in this tangled web of lies? Before he could voice another question, the ground shook again, their world groaning under the weight of unspoken truths. "Run." Nathan yelled, urging Maya, his heart racing, desperate to escape before the darkness engulfed them all once more. He could feel the walls pressing in, but the truth loomed larger than the danger itself. What secrets haunted them, and could they even survive what was to come? Nathan's heart raced as the room shook violently. Maya clutched his arm tighter, her small body trembling against him. The ground felt unsteady underfoot, and Brian, her brother, stood tall, a dark smirk plastered on his face. "Time to come home," he insisted, but Nathan wasn't ready to accept that. "What do you mean home?" he shouted, the panic creeping up his throat. "She's not leaving here." The chaos around them created a dizzying whirlwind. Dust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Nathan felt adrenaline coursing through his veins. He had to protect Maya. He had to figure out the truth. "Listen," Maya's mother cried, desperation spilling from her voice. "He is not what he seems. None of this is what it looks like." Then, without warning, the lights flickered off, plunging them into darkness. Silence fell heavy, broken only by the rumble of the collapsing basement. That's when Nathan felt it, cold fingers of dread creeping up his spine. Suddenly, through the void of darkness, a booming voice echoed, deep and menacing. "You've all made a terrible mistake." The ground shook once again, a new tremor shaking the very bones of the building. From the shadows, a figure emerged, looming and sinister. "It's time to settle the score," the figure growled, stepping into the faint light, revealing a face Nathan recognized too well, his father. "Dad," Nathan gasped, disbelief twisting in his gut. "How? You aren't supposed to be here." "Surprise," his father spat, venom dripping from his words. "You've been meddling in things that aren't yours to play with, Nathan. You think you can just whisk Maya away? You don't know what's at stake." Shock washed over Nathan like ice water. It felt as if the ground had fallen out from beneath him. He could see Maya's face, confusion blending with fear. Is he really my father?" she asked, voice shaking. "Yes, dear," Nathan's father said, stepping closer. "I've been watching over you all along. None of this ends well without you. You're a piece of a much larger puzzle." "Why?" Maya whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "Why did you leave me?" "Because I had no choice," he snapped, bitterness lacing his words. "They were coming for us, and I had to protect you." Protect? All Nathan could feel was a tidal wave of betrayal crashing over him. Did he even know this man anymore? "You abandoned us," he shouted, fists clenched. "You left Maya to fend for herself. That was the plan." His father yelled back, frustration cracking in his voice. "To keep her safe. If she doesn't come with me now, it'll be the end for all of us." A howl of wind burst through the broken window, swirling debris around them. The scene grew chaotic, urgency rising with every second. What else was hidden in this nightmare? Maya looked between the two men, her small face a canvas of fear and anger. "You're both lying," she cried, shaking her head. "I won't go with either of you." And in that moment, something shifted. The room trembled again, windows shattering inward with a deafening crash. The walls began to break apart, not from the threats outside but from something deeper, something hidden beneath the surface. "Get down," Nathan shouted, as a massive chunk of ceiling began to collapse. In the midst of the chaos, Nathan reached for Maya, instinct pulling him to shield her. But as he grasped her hand, a surge of energy ignited between them, an intense, bright flash that burst into the darkness. Everything froze. Surrounded by swirling dust and debris, they watched, wide-eyed, as an image flickered to life above them. It was an old family photograph, the faces clear and bright, and at the center stood Maya as a toddler, laughing in the arms of a woman who looked exactly like Brian. "What?" Nathan's words trailed off, the truth slamming into him like a freight train. Maya's eyes widened as the realization dawned. "I'm not just someone's child. I'm the link between families. I'm the legacy they all want." Beneath the weight of her revelation, Nathan felt the ground shake with new ferocity. The reality around them twisted, and every lie began to unravel. Could they survive this revelation? Could he protect Maya from the truth that now threatened to consume them both? Maya's words hung in the air like a thunderstorm ready to break. Nathan's heart pounded, the realization crashing over him like an unforgiving wave. She was more than just a girl caught in a family turmoil. She was at the center of an intricate web that could ensnare them all. The old photograph flickered above them, a beacon of truth and a harbinger of chaos. But before Nathan could respond, the ground trembled anew. A deafening rumble shook the building, reverberating through the very marrow of his bones. Dust rained down like confetti from a twisted celebration. He had no time to think, no time to process. The room felt like it was going to implode, and all he could do was shield Maya with his body. "Get out, now." Elizabeth shouted, her gun still raised, eyes wide with panic. But was she really their savior? Hadn't she just shot someone? Questions raced through Nathan's mind, threatening to drown his thoughts. Maya, we need to move. He yelled, desperation in his voice. But Maya appeared transfixed by the image above them, shock seeping into every feature. Then it happened. A blinding flash erupted as beams from the photograph shot out like lightning, illuminating the room with an unforgiving brightness. The walls of the basement began to crack and buckle, the very structure of their reality shattering. "No!" Brian shouted, raising his arms, his face contorted in a mix of terror and anger. "You have to stop this." But Nathan didn't know how. He had one focus: get Maya out. As he tugged her toward the back entrance, the ground shook violently, a terrifying roar of thunder erupting overhead. The basement ceiling creaked ominously, and he could feel it collapsing around them. Then suddenly, without warning, everything went black. The brilliant light that had engulfed them vanished in an instant, plunging them into absolute darkness. Heart pounding, Nathan stumbled, reaching for Maya's hand. "Are you okay?" he murmured, his voice barely a whisper, swallowed by the silence. But just as he hoped for a response, a shattering sound pierced the void. Someone was yelling, but the words were indistinguishable. It was chaos, chaos that wrapped around them like a thick fog. Then came the whispers, chilling and insistent. "Find her before it's too late." The voice was urgent, fraying at the edges, echoing around them as it faded into nothingness. Maya, Nathan's grip on her tightened. "We have to get out of here." And just then, a shift in the air, heavy and painful like a storm brewing. Flashes of light sparked back to life, casting shadowy figures against the crumbling walls. The cacophony of voices rose. Nathan could just make out the frantic murmurs, fragmented words that pierced through the clamor. "Not again," one voice quivered, filled with dread. "It can't be happening." And then a figure emerged from the shadows, walking into the flickering light with a chill that made Nathan's blood run cold. It was Maya's mother, but there was something different. Her expression was no longer desperate, it was calculating, cold. "Maya dear," she purred, an unsettling smile twisting her lips. "You've finally come home." "Mom." Maya stammered, disbelief and fear churning in her voice. "What's happening?" "Oh, sweetheart," her mother crooned, stepping closer, her eyes flashing with a mix of longing and something darker. "You've grown so much, but there's so much more for you to uncover. You only just scratched the surface." Nathan's heart plunged. The warmth he'd felt for this woman transformed into ice. "What do you mean?" he demanded, forcing his body to stand between Maya and her mother. "What do you want from her?" "Maya is the key," the woman continued, her voice unwavering. "She holds the secret that will bring our legacy back. And I will have her." A shockwave rippled through the atmosphere. The air felt heavy with threats unspoken and secrets left to fester. The world swayed around them, rocks crumbled, and Nathan could feel his sanity slipping. "Legacy?" he barked, voice ringing with anger and confusion. "What kind of legacy?" But before she could answer, the ceiling cracked like thunder. A massive beam fell, splintering wood and sending Nathan sprawling to the ground. Everything slowed, but he could still grasp Maya's hand, refusing to let her go. And just before the darkness engulfed him, he caught a glimpse of her mother's eyes, dead, hollow, filled with something ancient and predatory. "Maya." He screamed, but the world blurred. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. It felt like the ground had vanished beneath them, and he was falling into an abyss. His heart raced as he realized what they fought for was about to change forever. What if Maya's past wasn't what anyone thought? What if she was more than just a girl lost in a nightmare? As consciousness began to fade into black, one gut-wrenching question loomed in Nathan's head. Did he truly know who Maya was, or was this the beginning of a darkness neither of them could escape? The chaos erupted around them. Dust clouded the air as Nathan struggled to keep his eyes on Maya. He couldn't lose her, not now. "Stay close," he shouted, pulling her tightly against him. The walls of the basement groaned, but a flicker of resolve surged through him. Maya's mother stepped forward, voice dripping with urgency. "You have to trust me. This isn't what it seems." But trust was a fragile thing. Nathan couldn't forget the years of abandonment and betrayal. Instead, he focused on Maya, who looked torn between fear and desire for a connection she never had. "Look at me, Maya. We'll figure this out together," he promised, feeling the familiar weight of protectiveness swell inside him. Just then, the crumbling ceiling shed bricks, narrowly missing them. "We're running out of time." Elizabeth screamed, her gun still raised but with uncertainty in her eyes. The shadows loomed, darkness creeping in. "Maya, we need to leave now," Nathan urged, heart racing, dragging her toward an escape route. But then, a flash of light erupted behind them, brighter than 1,000 suns, enveloping the basement in an ethereal glow. "No!" Brian shouted, flinging up his arms as if to shield himself. "You don't know what you're doing." The force of the light blasted through them, sending Nathan stumbling. Maya cried out, but Nathan kept his grip firm. He couldn't lose her, not again. The chaos unfolded like a movie, moments stretching out in painful slow motion. In that blinding moment, Nathan felt something shift. A surge of warmth flooded through him as Maya reached out, her small fingers soaring with energy matching her own. "I believe in you," she shouted against the disorienting brilliance. "Maya," Nathan's voice pierced through the confusion. Was this the moment when everything changed? Would they make it out alive, hand in hand, closer than ever? The light consumed everything. Then silence. As the brightness faded, Nathan found himself kneeling beside Maya, the floor stable beneath them. They were in a different place, outside, a lush grove bathed in golden sunlight. Glowing figures drifted through the air, and a harmonious sound wrapped around them like a warm hug. "We made it," Maya whispered, all lighting up her face. "Where is everyone else?" Nathan looked around. Elizabeth stood a few paces away, staring wide-eyed, and Brian hovered nearby, confusion etched on his features. It was almost peaceful here, like the world had paused, but the heaviness of their reality still lurked. "Welcome to the after," a gentle voice chimed from the shimmering air. A woman, radiant and ethereal, stepped forward, eyes filled with wisdom. "You have transcended the chaos and made a choice. Maya, you've embraced your identity. And Nathan, you've chosen to protect her." Confusion settled in. "What happens now?" Nathan asked, his heart racing. "There is a balance to be restored," the woman said softly. "Your family's legacy, the darkness that pursued you, it can all be healed here if you choose. The path ahead will be yours to carve." Maya's eyes sparkled with hope. "We can be free." "Free," the woman echoed, smiling. "But your choices matter. The darkness may still linger as you explore your connection to each other and this world." As they listened, Nathan felt the weight lift. He could protect Maya, find clarity in this life, and shield her from shadows. The figures around them joined hands, forming a circle of light. Nathan gazed at Maya, and something deep inside shifted. "We're together. No one can take that away." "Together," she echoed, squeezing his hand. And in that blissful moment, the darkness faded, revealing dawn breaking on a new path. But as Nathan took a step forward, he could feel the shadows shift, watching, lingering at the edges of their bright new world. Time stretched, the future uncertain, but Nathan knew they wouldn't falter. They were stronger together, and the fight wasn't over. "Come on, Maya, let's face it together." The two moved forward, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever awaited them. But would they find the peace they craved? Let's find out together in the next chapter. You must subscribe now to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Click the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait another second to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how it ends. Your support makes all the difference. Be a part of this journey.